Hi everyone, no major news today, so let's get straight into the data. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. Looking at Fear and Greed, we're up to a 41. This has been a colossal run from 21 to 41 over the past week. Bottomed out around 17 and we're rallying, getting very close to that midline at 50. That is where we start to see reversals if it's going to happen. If it pushes right through there, we're probably headed back up to the 70 to 80 range, which means we got more rally in the tank. Right now we are starting to get into those extreme greed regions, which again, like I mentioned, this is the zone where you start to find some resistance if it's going to happen. Otherwise, looking at strength, still in fear here, hasn't moved at all. And then breadth continuing its rally, getting very close to that end of July peak. You'll notice that the breadth has slowly been trending down. We've been talking about that, lower highs and lower lows. Put call ratio neutral here makes sense. And then volatility has cratered all the way back into neutral after hitting that high of 61 or so. And then safe haven demand and junk bond demand not buying this rally at all. Still extreme fear in the bond market. Moving over to seasonality, this is a bullish period during election years, and sure enough, that is what we're getting. Regular years, not so much, but definitely in election years, pretty bullish. In terms of the dates, we're right here at the 19th. Based on that, you would expect another 1 to 2% before the end of the month, but it's been a colossal rally already, so it's hard to say. And then looking at the calendar, Monday expected to be bullish, and it was. Wednesday could be mixed. Week after is up 20 of the last 33, so it's generally bullish. We talked about it in the weekend video. FOMC minutes Wednesday, but also expected to be bullish, but Tuesday, Thursday, Friday could be mixed. Moving over to the economic calendar, you can see pretty much nothing here for Monday. U.S. leading index, slightly negative, not great, but markets did not care at all. CPI for the Eurozone tomorrow, basically nothing for the U.S. Wednesday, FOMC minutes, crude inventories. And then for Thursday, we do get some economic data for the Eurozone. Jackson Hole Symposium, that's expected to be interesting. Jerome Powell's going to speak at some point, and then we get some economic data here for the Thursday. But overall, pretty light week for economic data. Moving over to Max Payne, here you can see they took out the numbers, which is a bit of a bummer, but you can still look at the put walls. 545, 550 a little bit, calls 555, and then top of the puts is 556, and we are way above that. And I actually want to look at this Max Payne maturity. You can see 546 is Max Payne based on what they have here, and you can see all the calls out here, all the puts on this side. Makes sense, right in that range. And like I said, we're all the way up here. Typically, you see a little bit of a roll back down towards that middle, but these last couple days have been massively bullish, so see if it can keep up the gains. We're way above Max Payne already. Moving over to the charts, starting off with the S&Ps here, you can see hourly chart straight up pretty much all day. First candle did wick the 21 just for a moment and then rallied aggressive. Level here, 560.07, well above all the EMAs and SMAs. RSI is extended, but this is the hourly chart. We can continue to see gains there. And then looking at the daily chart, you can see we're only at 62.5, so that means you got a little bit more upside till we hit overbought conditions. On the daily chart, 559.36 after hours, down just a smidgen, finding resistance at that 560 area. Getting super close to this gap fill back from the 16th. The open of that candle is 562.87, which would be the gap fill, which is about a 0.5% higher from here. Get the gap fill, and then we'll see what happens. And then you got that all-time high resistance there at 565.16. If this is a super huge double top, this is going to be terrible for markets. But if we push through here, obviously everything's going to be bullish again. Let's go ahead and start stretching out these trend lines. You could probably see it's also possible that we start to hit those as well. That would give you a little bit of an overthrow of this all-time high and then still reject from there. But we'll see how it plays. Definitely an interesting zone for the next couple days of trading. Moving over to the Tasty charts here on the daily, you can see we did take out that ATR stop. That was at 558.82. We closed above it, so we're back into bullish conditions on the daily chart. Momentum bullish here as well. Still no volume really. We're at the second ATR band, 559.84. If you're looking for a push to that upper ATR, that's going to be 569.43, which is going to be very close, but just slightly above that previous all-time high. Actually looks like it's right in line with those previous trend lines, so something to consider right in there, 569.43. And then looking at the 4-hour chart, we are still massively extended. Momentum going back to bearish there. Decent volume on that last candle of the day, so doesn't mean we're going to stop anytime soon, but just understand how extended we are here in the short term. Moving over to the Qs here, you can see held those lows, also a higher low from the Friday session, wicked the 144, rallied up. This is the 15-minute chart, so touching that zone there. And then looking at on the hourly chart, much cleaner setup. 21 EMA held that level all day, rallied up. Super aggressive candle on the last one there. The level is 481.94. I'm sure we'll touch that after hours. We're just a couple pennies off of it now. The candle itself was strong, 1.31%. Momentum super bullish. Still have lots of room there at 60.18. You can see just how far off of these all-time highs we still are on the NASDAQ. Plenty of room to the upside, nowhere near that 16 July candle. We did get the gap fill back to 23 July, so that'll be interesting watching that level here. But again, everything still looks super bullish. I would have liked to see a retest of the 21 and then a continuation higher, but it seems like we're comfortable just rallying straight back to these previous highs at this point, looking for that gap fill, and then we'll see what happens. In terms of levels, 481.94, and then above that, you got 486.84. Moving over to the Tasty chart, still looking to see if we can get to that ATR trailing stop. Again, doesn't look as strong as the SPY, so that's at 484.32. Just 0.75% off of it now, very, very close. Seems like we're at least going to touch it, and then we'll see what happens. And if we were to fill that gap all the way back to here, that would take us to the upper ATR band, which is at 494.63. So we'll see how it plays. Remember, all-time highs are closer to that 503.60 area. And then again, looking at the 4-hour chart, you can see well above that upper ATR band. You would expect at least a pullback in time, just like we saw in this previous. ATR trailing stop continues to move higher there, and that's at 472.11. Moving over to the SPY and the Russell, same thesis, 1.22 and 0.58. Russell looked very strong, gapped and goed here through the 21, through VWAP, through the trend, very close to the next level at 215.42. It's up a little bit after hours. I'm sure we're going to touch that tomorrow. If it breaks through there, then we're probably going to get this gap fill. The closing price there was 216.58. And then if we push through that, 218.79 is the next level. Momentum very bullish, RSI still very bullish. And then looking at the Dow, did exactly what we thought, pushed right to that trend line there at the 408.55 level, pushed through it by about 50 cents. At this point, you're looking to grind along this trend line or potentially push straight to these previous highs, up at 411.08. Or the trend line all the way up at 415.53. Moving over to the Mag 7 here on the daily chart, you can see 1.16%, gapped right to the level here, opened above it, pushed up right to the opening price here from 1 August, and now you can see it's falling a smidgen after hours. Momentum and RSI still very bullish. Still would expect this to push up to the trend here around 273, right at the level there as well, 273.41. Overall, still looking very bullish, looking for the gap fill back to that 23 July, which you would fill as long as you did push up to that trend line. Moving over to Taiwan Semi and Upstart, I got asked about these stocks, so let's see how they look. Taiwan Semi posting a strong day there, 0.5% after touching that 171.10 level, which was the low back here from 2 July, so it looks very good. Next level for me would be that 180.07 level, which is the open price back here from 18 June. This is also looking to fill that gap here back to 16 July, so still looks good. Got some levels in there, but it is on a bullish trend just like everything else. And then looking at Upstart, this had a massive day here today, 9.94%. This has been on a solid run. And if you zoom out here, let's go full screen, you can see this had a very solid base, consolidation between these levels, $21 and $27. Clearly broke out here, fake out, breakout, retested the low, and then rallied right through here. My level was 33.96, and now we're through that. Got some trend resistance here if you want to call that trend, but really we're headed back to these mid-December prices. I have a level at 44.62. If you go back a little bit, which is right at the low of this consolidation, you could argue maybe the level should be at the top there. That would be around $49, but overall this looks very good, and based on what we've been seeing, you should expect at least a retest of this previous consolidation, which should give you about another 10 to 20% higher from here, which is crazy. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft, you got Apple down just a smidgen, still holding the level, still tested there, momentum and RSI still bullish, but we're starting to see a little bit of a fade there. Tested that level, ended up bearish on the day, interesting. And then looking at Microsoft, engulfed the Friday candle, but still struggling at that 144 EMA. That's at 421.34. Would have liked to see a stronger day there based on how markets were doing. And you can see just how much off of these highs we are. That's all the way up around 467. We're still sitting in the 420s, so still another 10% to go to get to all-time highs. And it seems like we're faltering here a little bit already. Moving over to Tesla and NVIDIA, both of these had colossal days, 3.05 and 4.35. strong on both. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish. Seems like both of these are pushing. 232.57 is the level here for Tesla. Probably going to touch that over the next day or two. And then looking at NVIDIA, we're clearly through that level at 124.69. Once we got through that, we knew it was going to be strong. Next level, you could argue, is maybe this high back from the 11th. That would be up around 135 or another $5 higher. And then above that, you're looking at all-time highs back at 140.76. And if it can push through there, then you could argue back to these trends that we haven't been close to since back here in mid-July. So that would be up around the 154, 155 area. Moving over to staples and discretionary. Staples still grinding along that trend line. Makes sense. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish. Still very, very close to those all-time highs. Remember, that is all the way back here at 81.34. So still about 50 cents to go. I'm sure we're going to get there. And then look at discretionary. Strong day, 1.23%. Pushed right to that next level, almost to the penny. 185.36 has been the level. Pushed and closed to 185.38, so closed above it, and then we actually rejected a little bit after hours. Interesting. If it can get above that, we're probably pushing to the next level in the gap fill. Again, 23 July. Could argue maybe it did get closed on the 31st, but probably going to push to that zone if this area here breaks. Moving over to oil and gas and transports. Oil touched the level 140.88, rejected a little bit from there. Momentum and RSI still bullish. Want to see it break that and push. Still watching this zone closely. It did get above the 21 and VWAP, so that's a bullish indicator. And then look at transports. Massive day, 1.25%, headed right for that 144 EMA at 66.47, and then the level there, 66.63. Interesting zone there. If it pushes through, we got some upper levels there. We've been here before. It's not new pricing, but that would be a clear breakout of this consolidation, and that would say more risk on markets to me. Moving over to breadth, you can see both of these had very powerful days. 20-day breadth already there. So we talked about this zone on the weekend video. Right here in this consolidation, pushed right through that, and now we're almost back to the highs from mid-July, and that was the top of markets the last several times. So March, top of markets, again here in May, and then again here in July. This is the zone where you start to see reversals. It's not instantaneous usually. You do see this zone for a couple days in a row before you fall, but we're already there, something to consider. And then looking at 50-day breadth here, you can see right to the trend line. We've been watching this lower high, lower high, lower high trend, and we're right there now. We'll see what happens. Are we going to touch it and reject just like we did the last couple times, or are we going to push through there and head back to these previous highs around 83? So critical zones here on breadth, waiting to see what happens. Moving over to the dollar, continues this colossal down move straight down over the last two trading days, and then you can see closed right on the low. Let's go ahead and extend out that trend line here, right there, almost to it at 101.65. Broke below that 102 level. That's what we were watching as the next price target. Almost oversold. You don't see that very often on the daily chart, but you have to expect we're headed back to that 101.25 level in my opinion. And that takes you back to this end of December, beginning of January pricing here for the dollar. As long as this continues to look super weak, equities are probably going to keep rallying. And this does look super weak here today. And then you can see it here on the daily chart. Stacked candles, hit the price target, trend there, next level. So everything looks terrible. Momentum, very bearish. RSI oversold at 29.71, which is basically the same as what we saw here on 5 August. The dollar just continues to downtrend. Moving over to JNK and TLT, you can see JNK continuing to rocket up here, pushing towards that next level at 96.51, and then looking at TLT, similarly strong, 0.46, and that is still headed towards this trend line. Let's go ahead and extend that, which gives you a price target up around 99.20, and then their next level there is the $100 level. RSI still bullish, momentum kind of fading, but still trending higher in my opinion. Moving over to volatility, with how bullish markets have been, you would expect vol to be cratering a little bit more, honestly. You can see the move index spiking here up to the 9 EMA. That's interesting, fully engulfed the two previous days, momentum swinging to bullish there, so bond market triggering something there. And then looking at the VIX, still hovering at that 14.7 level at the 144 EMA. Momentum seems to have bottomed out here a little bit. We haven't gotten that swing candle yet. But if tomorrow is a little bit bullish, maybe we see a step there and then we get at least a push to that 2250 area. That would be interesting, and then we'll see what happens from there. So critical zone, waiting to see if we get that spike. Moving over to my accounts, you can see I did fine on the day, couple of $100 there. You like to see it. I was positioned bullish, so it makes sense. And you can see I did roll up and out quite a lot. Still playing the puts in markets, so that was good as well. Current positions, 100 shares, still 212 call now for 7 days out, way further than I prefer to be be, but had to do it, had to stay bullish, but still want to stay pretty protected as markets could absolutely flip on a day like today. $4 protection here at 212. Max profit is 216, so not a lot of upside potential. But again, we're at some critical zones. If those break out, I'll continue to play it to the bull side. If we reject from here, I do want to stay protected. And then on the Qs here, 2 puts at 480 for $1.20 each. Rolled all the way out to 9 days from now for 460 for a $13 credit. And with the move we saw here today, that puts the max profit basically right where we are already at 481.16 is max profit, and we're already about 10 cents above that. So pretty crazy run on the day. You can see minus $400 there. I can be patient on these calls, no issues rolling them out over the next week or two if I need to, but still pretty bullish on the day. You can see 100, a little bit over 100 deltas on the Qs, and then just 13 deltas on the IWM. So overall, still bullish going into tomorrow's session. And even if we were to stay at current price, that $400 would come in over the next 9 days. Let me know down in the comments section what you think of this most recent rally. Are we going to continue to take the elevator up, or is this aggressive rally starting to trigger some warning bells that this might be a bear market rally? Definitely is for me, but let me know. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.